Hello, welcome. It's me, Bill Patton. Anyway, so I'm going to do a couple of different things here today. Number one, I want to discuss how court conditions can make a really big difference in how you play your match. And then I'm going to do a very quick feature on a book. And then I want to know something about you. So if you're watching this and you want to tell me, where are you in the world? That would be great. So put that in the comments. And then also, what's your angle? What is it that you're looking for here? So, I mean, are you a director of tennis and you want to train staff? Are you a high school tennis coach? Are you trying to stay on the cutting edge of how to teach tennis? Or are you a tennis student yourself? But obviously I can't cover all of that. But let me know who you are, where you're at in the world, and I will look forward to interacting with you. I'm having this little stubborn thing with my lip here, so apologies for that. I've decided to go makeup free. That's quite obvious. So, court conditions. It's really interesting how I think people presume that every tennis court is flat and every ball is perfectly round. But in reality, they are not. So both of those play into court conditions, as do different types of wind. And I'm not going to do an exhaustive thing here, but let's just cover the court for a moment. So no court is perfectly flat. They're all slanted somewhat because that's the only way the water would run off. So very important for a court to have a little bit of a grade going one way or the other. And then when that's true, then that's going to affect how the ball is going to bounce. So if it's sloped this way, the ball's going to bounce a little bit that way and a little bit that way. So, for some, it could be bouncing away from your backhand and towards your forehand or vice versa. And then some courts are slanted, from end to end, which means that one side is raised up and is going to accept the ball a little bit easier. You can make more angles. The other side is slightly lower and topspin is going to bounce much higher. And, balls are going to come much quicker because they're coming downhill at you. So that's an important consideration as well. So one thing that you want to do is take account for how the court is situated. And I also see quite a few courts that slant from one corner to the next diagonally. So that means on one side, you have two higher corners, one being even higher. And on the other side, you have two lower corners with one being even the lowest. So if I was going to approach the net, I would want to come into the lowest corner on the court, making my opponent run downhill, so to speak, and have to hit uphill. And it is interesting how that can happen. And some courts are slanted a lot more than others. So one day my team was playing on a court that actually slanted towards the net. So that really affected our way of playing for the day, especially because that ball is going to accept a lot of good shots right like that. So what I wanted everybody on my team to do was to slice, because it was going to be really tough to hit a winner when the ball's bouncing up and back, but it was going to be really easy to come up to the net and cover the net, because then even if the ball goes over your head, then it's bouncing towards you. That's just one example. Another important thing is that the ball, look at the tennis ball. You're going to, do I have a ball standing here? Let's see. No, I should probably have props, but I don't. Anyway, look at a tennis ball, right? I mean, there's going to be at least two little imperfections on that tennis ball. And depending on what manufacturer you find, you probably find that some manufacturers, they're less than grade A ball. They're grade B tennis ball, which are very common, very, very common. The ones that you get at the discount store for $1.99. I don't know if that still happens anymore, but you get it for $3 or less. it's going to have some imperfections. There are going to be some spots that aren't perfectly round on that ball. So that means that ball is going to bounce funny every once in a while. But what do people do? They sort of blame themselves. They don't realize that the ball doesn't always bounce perfectly. And then, of course, then there are imperfections in the court. I mean, I've seen some really tremendous court applications by highly skilled court layers, and it's artwork to get that sand, perfectly distributed on a hard court. And I've seen lesser jobs where the sand was not applied evenly, and so you have one little patch where things are a little faster, and you have another one that's a little bit slower. The ball can just all of a sudden jump up or die, and you don't know why, or stay low. It's because the court surface itself can be a little bit uneven, and then you have like little undulations in the court. And that's one thing that people don't realize, is that now, and it doesn't even take a crack to do that, but just a place where the water sits. We call them bird baths. So if you have a place on the court where the water sits, well, that's obviously a low spot on the court. If the ball bounces in the middle of that, that's fine. But as it bounces, towards the edges of that little bowl, then you're going to get different types of bounces. So that's a really important thing. And I don't want to go too deeply into that, but this is like a preview of a chapter for Tennis Strategy 201. So now I just wanted to talk for a moment about Tennis Strategy 101, which has been out for a while. And this is for the 1.0 to 4.0 UTR player, which is a pretty wide range, right? Or the 2.5 to 3.5 player. So many people have been joining the game. And this book is aimed at helping them succeed and not flame out in matches, because they get the absolutely most important core strategies for playing a good match. Because 2.5s come in and they don't have a lot of competitive experience. Some 3.0s don't realize that they could be a 3.5 if they cleaned up some major things in their game. And some 3.5s could then move up to 4.0. So the next book, Tennis Strategy 201, is coming out. And I don't have an exact timeline for that, but that's going to be targeted more to the 3.5 to 4.0 player that wants to get past 4.0 into the 4.5 levels. And so it takes a lot more strategy. If you have really your A game and you know what that is out of the 5 major strategies, then you have an advantage just having that clarity, knowing how you want to play. But if you also have a B game that you can play when your A game matches up perfectly with your opponent's strength, then it's really important to be able to make a shift and play a different style that works more against their weaknesses. As Craig O'Shaughnessy says, you're the second most important player out there. And Tennis Strategy 201 covers that. Tennis Strategy 101 really is coming back to this, focuses on what is controllable for you. There are a lot of things that are in your control in the way you play a match, and those are extremely fundamental. And you wouldn't want to go on to 201 if you aren't doing the 101 things. Think of a boat, that wants to go from here to there, but it's got a massive leak in it. Right. I mean, obviously progress is going to be slow and you may not make it. Right. But so this is about plugging the leaks for sure. All right. So I want to hear from you. I see I have one person watching live right now. I had a few others, 4 people at the peak. I'm not expecting everybody to watch this live right away, but if you're watching later, I still would like to know, where you're from, who you are, what's your What's your tennis angle? What is it that you're looking for? And then that way I can tailor more of my content to you. And so I just also really excited lately because I'm starting to get some juniors who want to play college tennis. So we're talking a lot about how to get recruited. We're working out in a very intelligent way. I'm thinking about also putting together some of my 4-5 and 5-0 men that are aspiring to go a little higher and put them together with these aspiring juniors who want to play college tennis, because there's a lot of wisdom in having juniors learn how to play adults, because it's really interesting how adult UTR players can usually beat their counterparts in the juniors, just because there's a little bit more maturity to their game. So this is one thing to be mindful of, that it is important for anyone who aspires to be a college tennis player to have a UTR, but then also to realize that there's a pretty interesting disparity between junior UTR and college UTR. So what you think you might expect in results might not be there. There's a little bit of an overlap. And then a good friend of mine, Ryan Hanrahan, Velox Tennis, also known as the tennis marketer, has noted that there's a pretty big difference in UTRs over time and in different regions. So, we need more people playing different people from different areas in order for all that data to accumulate and for it to become even more accurate. But I'll leave you with this. One time, somebody posted a great study where they showed that out of 145 matches, that 142 of them were accurately predicted by the UTRs of the players. And the 3 that were not accurately predicted, it's because the UTRs were so close that it basically constituted a pick'em kind of a situation. So 50-50 chance. So one of those players is going to have to win. I mean, they're practically were a dead heat in their UTR. So it is a very valuable data set. And as things go along, I think we're going to see more rating systems and greater accuracy as we go along. So to recap, pay attention to the court, and obviously wind conditions play into that. I think next time I come on, we're going to talk about different kinds of wind, because it can affect play differently depending on the direction, the speed, the variability, and the the variability of the wind. So anyway, thanks for watching, and go ahead and take a moment and hit the like button and subscribe. And if you like this video, please share it out. I'm probably going to be back on tomorrow. Thank you.